Hey everybody. I realized that I don't get to do a lot of updates of what I do day in and day out. Well, the time has come. It is time that I share what I do day in and day out. So, like today, let's give an example of what I did today. Today, I had a client that wanted to use Intuit's QuickBooks. Okay. Well, we all know that QuickBooks is an accounting software, right? Well, it's a wonderful accounting software. It just works, right? However, Intuit has decided to push all of the customers over to what? The QuickBooks Online product, or the QBO product is what we pro advisors call it, QBO, QuickBooks Online. And well, a good amount of customers, a good amount of people don't like that environment. It's missing some features, it's kind of clunky. It takes longer to do the simple things that some people do in QuickBooks. And I've been using QuickBooks Pro, particularly QuickBooks Pro 6.0 since before the end of the 90s. 6.0 came out, and I think it was like 97, 96 before they started doing into the years. Okay, now someone will probably correct me on that, but that's fine. Okay, but I've been using QuickBooks since 6.0. Okay, and we've dealt with QuickBooks since then. And QuickBooks has been a wonderful product, and for billing purposes, truly, you could buy it once. It's like $120 once and install it on your computer. Nobody cared. Okay, but recently, Intuit, of course, wants to make their shareholders a little happier. A lot happier. And what they're doing is completely software as a service, which means that you no longer can buy it once and just keep it on the computer and then get a new computer and move it and get a new computer and move it, and you just pay for it once, that traditional old model. No, they turn this into a software as a subscription. So QuickBooks Desktop product has been switched over to the software as a service, and that happened a couple of years ago where they forced you to update and upgrade the software. And if you didn't pay for it, in theory, it didn't work anymore. Now, I'm going to say in theory because we all know there are some tactics and methods that consequently can make it where it works if it doesn't. But again, that's unethical, and we're not going to get into that. It's a software as a service, which means, right? It's a service. You don't pay for the service, it don't work. Okay. However, recently, QuickBooks 2024, QuickBooks Intuit has decided that QuickBooks they're no longer going to make a desktop version. You must go to QuickBooks Online. You're going to use our products, use QuickBooks Online. And we all know QuickBooks Online is a wonderful product, okay, for certain people. Again, sure, some people like it. And you know what? It has some features like working on your phone, working on your iPad, making it so it's all backed up. Yes, there's a lot of features on the online version. However, a good amount of customers don't like that. And you know what? Like I said, full disclosure, okay, you can do whatever you want. However, today, what I got done doing is using Microsoft Azure and taking a QuickBooks environment, a QuickBooks Desktop install, QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Pro 2024, and I installed it into an Azure VDI solution. Their virtual machine environment, install the QuickBooks environment in there, set up some backups so it backs up to Azure, also backs up to another third-party service. So on the event something happens to Azure or something happens to Microsoft billing, you can still get your data, it's somewhere else. So I set that all up where now the data every single day gets backed up. The individual can remote into that one QuickBooks environment, and they can continue using QuickBooks in that environment. Okay, and now this individual doesn't have to go to QuickBooks Online. They can keep on using 2024. Why I bring this up is that there's also an opportunity in this environment to put older QuickBookses, so ones that had the perpetual license. I've done that before. We make an Azure desktop environment, and guess what? We put the QuickBooks 2013 in there. I said 13. 2016, 2019, 2020 version in there. That one that just works, that you like using, yeah, we put that in Azure. And then you can access it from any device you want to, your iPad, your Windows computer, your Mac, okay? You can use that QuickBooks from this point forward. Yes, it's a Windows 11 environment, and yes, end of life is years away. Yes, yes, yes. However, that is your QuickBooks environment. That's where your data is. Your data now is backed up properly, so you have proper business continuity. You also have proper backup recovery, disaster recovery inside of Azure. And for a little bit amount of money that Azure wants to do with that they want to charge you with that's a huge peace of mind. And that was one of the things that we were talking about with one of my clients today, is truly, does that a business owner want that peace of mind to go, their business financials, where are we going to put this? In some service where a card gets declined and all of a sudden they can't access any of it, or put it in an environment that we control the infrastructure. And that's what Azure is an infrastructure as a service, not a software as a service. And so that was one of the things that I did today, was created a QuickBooks Desktop environment in Azure. And then at that point, the end user can go in there. Now, I've done this before with QuickBooks Enterprise, okay? A lot of my customers use QuickBooks Enterprise, and that is the product that's a little bit upgraded from QuickBooks Pro. And we do that as a remote desktop environment and all that jazz, where we have shared users. And like I said, that's easy to do for me. That's not a big deal. That is one thing that I set up today. One thing. Made it super easy for the client. Truly, here's an icon, type in your password. Problem solved. That is one thing I did today. So y'all want to know, what does Justin do? What does Captain do on a day-to-day basis? That is one simple thing. Caring about the businesses, caring about business continuity, and caring about truly what matters to the end user, what matters to the business owner. That's what I do every day.